Michael Jackson's friendship with Sheikh Abdullah of Bahrain had gone south. So he and his family left the Mideast and headed west to the land of shamrocks, leprechauns, and Guinness, Ireland. It was summer 2006, and Jackson's nomadic existence had him house hunting, or rather castle hunting, on the Emerald Isle. But first, he paid a visit to an old friend.
I felt that he was inspired here.
It was a conclave of self-promotion royalty. Michael Flatley, the Lord of the Dance, hosted the self-proclaimed King of Pop here at Flatley's estate, Castle Hyde. These two, both justly famous for their footwork, had met back in 1996 when they were each on tour in Australia.
I walked into his dress room and he said, how's the greatest dancer in the world? And naturally I replied, I was going to ask you the same thing.
And when Jackson arrived for his stay, Flatley used a reliable Irish custom to break the ice.
So I grabbed him by the arm and brought him down to the bar. We have a little bar in the house here, and poured him a pint of Guinness. At first he thought it was coffee. He'd never seen Guinness before, I don't think, but halfway through it, I tell you what, he was a new man. He had a great time, and we certainly laughed and had a lot of fun together.
This is the first time Michael Flatley has spoken about Jackson's time at Castle Hyde. He says the castle's surroundings and the Irish countryside seemed to be a refuge for his friend.
He could be himself completely somehow here, away from the world's eye, away from prying eyes, I guess.
But did the river dancer and the moonwalker dance together?
It was always a dream of mine to dance with Michael Jackson. But whatever happened here, I'll take to the grave.
Although Jackson seemed to enjoy his stay, Flatley says he couldn't help noticing a certain sadness in his guest.
I remember when he finally left Castle Hyde, there was a bit of a sadness, I think, in all of us. We all felt sad that he was leaving, and there was an emptiness of some kind.
Over 18 months, Jackson would rent a number of estates throughout Ireland, including this one, Ballinacurra House.
We've been open as a business, as a private estate, for exclusive hire for approximately 5 years.
Des McGann rented his 22-bedroom estate to Jackson later that summer.
There's lots of very fine, big country estates in Ireland where I guess he was possibly trying to find the next Neverland or the next home for his children.
Jackson was mostly housebound, staying in this Africa-themed bedroom and spending time with his kids outside on the playground. McGann and his wife kept their distance, but did snap these photos. Then one day, Jackson decided to venture out into town, wearing a mask and pajamas.
We couldn't understand why he walked downtown in pajamas, and that created a furor around the town. Did you see Michael Jackson downtown in his pajamas?
But to the McGanns, Michael Jackson, all in all, was far more normal than they had expected him to be.
We felt really very sorry for him. He was looking for a home. He really was trying to look for normality.
Jackson was also looking for a creative spark for some new songs, trying to catch up to a music industry that had left him behind.
I'm pretty much being inspired by the music and hearing other counter, riffs, what I could add or inspire to it.
In October 2006, at a recording studio outside Dublin, he held a session with will.i.am of the Black Eyed Peas. Access Hollywood captured it on tape as the hip-hop star played some tracks he had composed for Jackson.
Very nice groove. I like the chords.
As it turned out, this was also one of Michael Jackson's last recorded interviews.
Music is very much like tapestry, and it's just layers, but it's sometimes you can put too much.
He said little in the interview itself, but in these outtakes, as he talks to the cameraman about his lighting, Jackson hints at that insomnia that plagued him.
Less shadow.
Yeah, less shadow.
It's more frontal.
Yeah.
You like that?
I like that, but can you pump the more, make it a little hotter?
You mean warmer? Or
No,
brighter?
brighter, take away the shadows. I try to look like I slept. So I just need your help, please.
Is it okay?
Jackson still needed help overcoming his sleepless nights, and he apparently wasn't getting that help in Ireland. After nearly a year and a half of living out of suitcases, Jackson finally came home to the U.S., but he didn't come back to Neverland. Instead, he went to Las Vegas, where he would soon meet the man who could supply him with that good night's sleep. Coming up, Michael Jackson continues his search for a new Neverland and goes shopping for art and for something else.
We've heard that he was definitely into doctor shopping while he was here.
When the secret life of Michael Jackson continues. It was November 2006 at the World Music Awards in London. Michael Jackson was expected to perform for the first time publicly in nearly a decade. But all he could muster was a few bars of We Are the World. It was yet another bizarre performance by a man who once ruled the world of music. And it fed stories that Jackson was in a downward spiral. He had been traveling the world, from the deserts of the Middle East to the greenery of Ireland. One gets the feeling that he was just sort of this...
He's a vagabond.
Yeah, this nomadic celebrity without a country.
If he wasn't Michael Jackson, he would just been this guy, you know, bunking out on your, in your guest room. This pest who, you can't get rid of.
During that time, he was living far away from the excesses of show business. But that Christmas, Jackson and his children came home to the U.S. The one-time Jehovah's Witness arrived in Sin City, Las Vegas.
In my opinion, Vegas has always been a safe place for him.
Czar Zongani was Jackson's real estate agent in Las Vegas.
We are far from the paparazzi. Inside the casinos are usually shootout. Most of the neighborhoods in town are guard gated, so paparazzis can't come through the homes. And this is a place he was very comfortable. He has family in town.
Biographer J. Randy Turbarelli agrees that family probably played a role in getting Jackson back home, specifically his mother, Catherine.
I think he missed his mother. And one of the 2 talks I had with him, he told me that he really missed his mom.
Michael Jackson was back in Las Vegas, back to the city where he'd once entertained audiences as a teenager alongside his brothers here on the Strip. Back to a city that was full of the same temptations that Jackson may have been trying to avoid, including drugs and the people who could provide them. At the same time, he continued to search for a new Neverland, and it looked as if he might have found one.
He gets obsessed with buying the Sultan of Brunei's 150,000 square foot home.
Gerald Posner writes for the website The Daily Beast.
That's going to replace Neverland, and he just is obsessed. He can't come up with the money. The Sultan doesn't want to sell to him. He can't afford it. He can't finance it.
By now, Jackson's financial situation was precarious. Some estimates put his debt at $500 million. He hadn't released any new music in 6 years, but he continued to live in the same luxurious lifestyle of his Thriller days, shopping for other opulent palaces that were beyond his means.
Out of the blue, he said, we're going to call this Wonderland. We had seen probably a dozen homes, and when he came in here, he just knew right away. He was glowing, he was smiling.
Jackson had lived in Las Vegas before, but this time around, he was more of a phantom presence, popping up unexpectedly at local stores for his unusual speed shopping sprees. Claire Hoffman of Rolling Stone magazine learned that Michael Jackson's shopping also extended online to eBay.
He was a night owl, if not an absolute total insomniac, and he would get on the computer at night and he had multiple accounts, and he would open accounts in the name of some of his staff and use their addresses in order to just purchase a lot of stuff.
But that wasn't the only shopping Jackson was apparently doing.
We've heard that he was definitely into doctor shopping while he was here.
Norm Clark is a Las Vegas newspaper columnist.
I've talked to 2 different doctors about how it worked. And one of the doctors was called and said that Michael Jackson was not feeling well. Could he treat him? And he went over and checked him out, and he couldn't find evidence of a cough or congestion. And he figured out quite quickly that this was a ruse. They made their intentions known very quickly, that Mr. Jackson needed this drug, this drug, this drug, this drug.
How many doctors did he have?
I mean, dozens through the years.
Gotham Chopra, Jackson's friend of nearly 20 years.
Michael used his celebrity, and he would befriend doctors. I mean, he knew how to get the stuff that he wanted. It was very smart.
Meaning that if he wanted some particular kind of drug, he could get that too.
Yeah. I mean, and he had all sorts of doctors all over, Beverly Hills, frankly, that, like I said, enabled him.
But it was in Las Vegas that a new doctor first entered Jackson's life, cardiologist Conrad Murray, the doctor that would be with him when he died. Their relationship began with a phone call from a hotel suite where Jackson was staying.
And one of his children got sick, I don't know which one, and then a member of the security team actually knew Dr. Murray from his Vegas practice and recommended him. Dr. Murray treated Jackson's child, who got better, and the two hit it off.
Murray had a large practice with a clinic in Houston where he regularly treated low-income patients and an office in Las Vegas, where his patients there describe him as a caring and talented doctor.
I went to the emergency room, and I must say that I felt extraordinarily blessed at that time to have Dr. Murray.
Bob Russell, Frank Barbie, and Jack Hammond were all patients of Dr. Murray, and all say he saved their lives. This is to all of you. Dr. Murray, skilled?
Yes.
Yes.
Very much. Absolutely.
Caring?
Yes.
Very much. Extraordinarily so.
Competent?
We're here.
But Dr. Conrad Murray never before had a patient like Michael Jackson. Early in 2009, Murray suspended his practices and became Jackson's personal physician. That would set in motion the final chain of events in Jackson's life, and it would make Dr. Murray a household name in a way he probably never imagined. Coming up, the beginning of the end.
The source told me, "You will not believe what Mike is doing right now."
When Dateline continues.